our French Unit 2 vocabulary. So a quick review of Section 1. Okay, to ask the question, we're going to ask tu aimes something, to ask do you like something. Okay, we can use this for both activities and foods. So do you like to play soccer? Tu aimes jouer au foot? Or do you like chocolate? Tu aimes le chocolat? To say that you like something, we're going to say j'aime, I like. J'aime parler français, I like to speak French. J'aime la glace, I like ice cream. Or you can say I don't like. Je n'aime pas. Je n'aime pas étudier, I don't like to study. Je n'aime pas le fromage, I don't like cheese. Alright, so let's start looking at those actual food vocabulary terms. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is, yes, it does say snails. Les escargots. Okay, les escargots. So yes, the French do actually eat snails. No, it is nowhere near as gross as it sounds. Snails, honestly, they are not a very common food. Most French people have eaten them a few times, but they tend to be more like very special occasions or to tease their American tourist friends to kind of gross them out with it a little bit. Snails honestly don't have very much flavor. They primarily taste like whatever it is they're cooked with, which is typically some kind of buttery, garlicky, and or pesto type of sauce. And that's primarily all that you taste. We also have French fries, which are les frites. Les frites. So French fries, believe it or not, are not actually from France. They are Belgian. They're called French fries because it's called a French cut potato. So that idea of having something that's cut really long and skinny with angles on the end is called a French cut. So if you cut up a potato in a French cut and then fry it, you therefore have a French fry. However, the French do really love their French fries, and they're very, very common as both a side dish. And there are actually restaurants which serve nothing but French fries with all kinds of different sauces. Then we have cheese, le fromage. The French have certainly earned their reputation for loving cheese. It's a very, very, very common food, and most people have, I'd say probably at least a chunk of cheese a day. That's definitely a thing. Along with bread, okay, we have le pain. It's not pain, le pain. Bread is also extremely common in France. There's not a single French meal at which bread does not make an appearance in some way, shape, or form. So there's bread at breakfast, bread at lunch, bread at dinner. It might be different kinds of bread, but it's definitely there somehow. Ham, okay, le jambon. Le jambon. So ham is definitely one of the most common meats in France. They don't really have very good pasture land for cattle, so the beef in France, quite frankly, isn't very good. The best beef in France is maybe like mediocre beef here. So they eat a lot of pork, especially ham. They also eat a lot of fish. Okay, so le poisson. Le poisson. The French have a lot of coastline. A vast majority of French borders are on one or another kind of sea. So they have borders on the Mediterranean Sea, on the North Sea / English Channel, and on the Atlantic Ocean. So they eat a lot of fish and seafood. You also have chocolate, le chocolat. So le chocolat, definitely also a big thing in France. Maybe a little bit more so in French-speaking Belgium and French-speaking Switzerland. But definitely also a major industry in France is turning out gourmet chocolate. And then finally, ice cream, la glace. So French ice cream is closer to gelato than American ice cream. We make our ice cream with milk, which tends to make it very fluffy and unfortunately kind of icy. French ice cream is made off of eggs, so it's very, very dense, and there's not very much ice in it. So the ice crystals are a lot smaller. This tends to make it a lot richer. So like here, I might have 2 scoops of ice cream. In France, I definitely only have 1. Let's take a real quick look at those articles, those little itty bitty words in front of each one of our nouns here. So you can see a le and a la in front of almost every single one of them. So for example, we had la glace, le chocolat, le poisson, so on and so forth. Le and la are both singular. We have one of those things. Our first 2, our snails and our French fries, have lait, L-E-S. Lait is plural. So the reason that we have to use a plural article here is because you eat more than one of those things at a time. So you don't go up to a restaurant and say, oh yes, I would like to eat a French fry, please. You eat French fries. Okay. Same thing with snails. Snails typically come in platters of 6 to 12. So you don't order just 1 snail. They're way too small to make that useful. So we're always going to use the plural form of those. Make sure that you can hear and pronounce the difference between le and lay. Le, L-E, lay, L-E-S. It's a very, very, very important difference. Otherwise, you're telling me that you want 1 or more than 1, since we don't pronounce the S on the end of the word. So you hear les frites. We don't say les frites. The lay is the only indication that we have that we're talking about more than 1 French fry. If you screw up and you say le frite, it sounds like you want just 1 French fry.